Transition awareness breathing. Feeling grounded for both children and parents is essential for healthy living and learning. Join Eartha Powell on this series for tips and tools for creating a harmonious environment for learning. Transition awareness breathing will help you and your child find an individualized path to tackle change, promote lifelong learning, and discover new approaches to calmness.
I just can't believe how things are so negative today. Every single time I check my social media, it just seems like things are getting worse. Hi, friend. Hey, seems like you're having a day. I can't even begin to tell you, Eartha, my day. Say, how about joining me on this week's podcast and listen in on our show? Eartha, I don't have time to be listening to your podcast. I gotta check my Twitter. Well, maybe you might be interested in listening to my special guest I have. But before we get started, I'd like to thank Web Talk Radio for allowing me to have a platform to bring Transition Awareness Breathing podcasts to my listeners, and to my producers, Mary Lou and Sam. Thank you for making Transition Awareness Breathing podcast available to my listeners wherever they go. Now, friend, let me tell you, my son is on our show today, and he's going to share about his thoughts about happiness. Come on, let's take a listen. Well, all right. Hi, Zachariah.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me today in our podcast. Today, we are going to talk about happiness. Okay? Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions. Zachariah, where do you find happiness?
I find happiness inside of me.
You find happiness inside of you? Oh, wow. So, how do you find happiness inside of you? What do you mean that you find happiness inside of you?
I make happiness inside of me by doing arts and crafts and doing pictures.
So, you said you find happiness by doing crafts, drawing pictures, doing art. Okay, well, if I drew a picture, I'm drawing a picture right here, and you can see it. And if I put in this circle right here, drawing pictures and doing crafts, what if you're not able to do crafts? Or what if you're not able to draw pictures right now? Maybe, your schedule is so busy and you're not able to do those particular things. So I'm going to ask you a two-part question. Do you think you'll still be happy?
It means I get bored.
Okay, so part of doing the crafts and the pictures helps you not to become bored. Okay, so let's take this a step farther. What is it about doing crafts and art? What is it about those activities that makes you feel a sense of happiness? What is it about those activities?
It gives me a sense of creativity.
Okay, Zachariah, that is so cool. Now, when you are feeling creative, that sense of creativity, I want to get into your thought process, the artist, the creator's mind. What is motivating you when you have that sense of creativity? What does that feel like?
I feel like doing a good job, and I can go on to the next level.
So what we're talking about is And that's what's called a sense of achievement, Zachariah. So what you're feeling when you feel like you want to do a good job and you want to go to the next level, that is a sense of, you have created something and you're not bored, and it stimulates how you're describing a happiness inside of you, and so you want to do a good job, and that's a sense of achievement. When you have that sense of achievement, when you succeed at something, and when you go to the next level, how does that make you feel?
It makes me it makes me proud when I achieve onto the next level.
I totally understand that. So, if you had to draw a picture, I know you're drawing pictures, and so let's talk about that. If you had to draw a picture of what happiness looks like, what would it look like to you? And this is one thing I do in transition awareness breathing with my students. I have you guys draw your happy color, and so let's just kind of practice and let our listeners kind of get an idea of like how we do in our class. If you had to draw a picture, what would that picture look like? Can you kind of describe the color, the shape, and what you would draw? Okay? Okay, so I gave Zachariah my little iPad, and I asked him to draw a picture of what happiness would look like to him. And so he's drawing a picture, and he drew an image. So are you finished? You want to add some more to your image before you come back and let everyone know what you drew?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and add whatever you want to the image. And this is what I do with my students, my elementary students, because we are at a stage where we're discovering how to put our awareness and our emotions into words, into positive words, into positive actions. Okay? So I'll give it back to Zachariah, and then he's going to share with you the image he drew and the color and everything.
My image looks like a happy face. The shape is a circle, and inside the circle has 2 eyes, 1 nose, and a mouth. And the happy face is saying hi.
Okay, so when you are thinking happy, this is the kind of image that you're thinking about. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. So, Zachariah, so like if you're not doing crafts or art, I mean, does that mean you're not happy? I mean, is your happiness dependent on just doing arts and crafts and pictures?
Or it's dependent.
Okay, so when I say, are you dependent on the arts and crafts and art, what I mean is are you relying on the arts and the crafts to make you happy? You know, do you need? Is that something that you need in order for you to have that happiness? That's what I mean by dependent. That was a good question. So.
No, I don't need crafts to make me happy. Because...
Tell me about it.
Because the happiness is inside of me. So wherever I go, the happiness follows me.
So that makes a lot of sense. no matter if you're doing crafts or if you're doing art, the happiness is within you. We went camping, right? And we felt peaceful. We were relaxed. We were out with nature. And while we were out, in the inconveniences at our campsite, there was a happiness that was there. And we didn't have crafts. So you made a very good point, Zachariah. Now, we're going to go to one step and we're going to bring this all together. What we also did, because Zachariah and I we're having a discussion here, and to help things be a little bit more visual for him and me, is we made a Venn diagram with 3 circles. One circle we have labeled camp and the experiences and how we felt. And in that circle we felt free, we felt peaceful, we felt relaxed, we felt calm. Then in circle number 2 is labeled crafts. And I wrote down, Zachariah said he felt peaceful, he felt excited, and he had a sense of achievement when he does crafts and arts. Now we did a 3rd circle, and that 3rd circle is laying on top of, with a Venn diagram. All the circles kind of intersect each other at the middle. And at this 3rd circle, we labeled everyday life. And I'm going to let Zachariah explain what we mean by everyday life.
Everyday life means taking the trash out and cutting the grass, and I get money, and watering the garden and going to school.
Okay, so those are certainly everyday life, and for grown-ups, it could be going to work, going to school, cutting the grass, doing just our everyday. Sometimes we may call it mundane. Mundane means we do it all the time, life. Okay, Zachariah, you did a great job of explaining what your everyday life is like. And that's just a few things. But one thing that I wanted to point it out is that we spend the larger percentage of our lives in the everyday life circle. What do you think, Zachariah? Would you agree?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So we spend a smaller percentage in our vacation or camping. That's a small percent. Well, and that's a very important percent, is to take a vacation, take a break. The other small percent is we label crafts. And that could be crafts, that could be hobbies, that could be sports. And those are also very important. Now that percentage may not be as big as the camping or vacation, but it takes a chunk of our time, but not as much as the everyday life. So the big question, our big discussion is, how do we bring in those feelings and that sense of creativity, the pride, the excitement, the achievement, the freedom, the peace that we have in the small percent box circles? How do we bring that into our everyday life? And the part where this Venn diagram meets is in the center. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Okay, so the intersection of where these 3 circles of the Venn diagram intersects, where they all meet, what did we call that?
Awareness of our surroundings.
Awareness of our surroundings. Very good. So no matter if we're in everyday life, or if we are doing our craft or our sports, or if we're on vacation, being aware of our surroundings, being aware of our feelings. Now, when we are in our everyday life, sometimes